What's in your feeds? What's going to be in your feeds?
Tomatoes, and peas.
Tomatoes and peas, and what else do we put in? What are these things?
Peanut butter and oil.
And oil. Yummy. Yay! So she always helps me with dumping in the cans. So there's some peas. Remember to bump it. Yeah. Okay. Whoops. It's okay. It's okay. See, we can go like this. Ching. Okay, so you dump this one. You dump that one. Okay.
Can I eat a pea?
Yeah, you can eat a pea.
Peas.
What do they taste like?
Can I see?
Okay. All right, so dump the next one in. I'll take care of the ones here. There we go. And it usually takes about 3 cans of peas to get 4 cups.
Okay.
Okay, so we do 4 cups of vegetables and 4 cups of fruit. And then we do a half a cup of peanut butter and a half a cup of oil. Okay, good job.
Wait, there's 2 more.
There's 2 more. Well, it's okay.
Well, they don't.
So the vegetables, then we always blend them up first because they don't blend.
Now it's time for this part.
We'll do those after we blend up our peas. So we just use a normal, it's a Ninja, and so it's like, it was like $100 at Bed Bath & Beyond. And actually,
I can turn it on, Mom.
oh, she likes it. So when our last one, we bought one and it died. But when it dies, then at Bed Bath & Beyond, this has a lifetime warranty. Hold on a sec. And so we took it in and they gave us a new one.
Oh.
So keep the receipt, buy a Ninja, it works okay. So
Now
Good to know.
it's
turn
time
it on. So do power
power.
and then the 1.
No.
Okay, 2. Do the 2. Or the 1. Oh, we turned it off.
2.
Should we do this? Let's scoop it in so we get all the peas off the sides.
Yeah.
It smells like peas. Actually, it's mixed up enough. We can do the tomatoes now. You want to do the
Yeah.
tomatoes? Okay, so you stay right there and you can dump them in.
Yeah. Okay.
But let me do that part.
Alright, I'm ready.
You are ready to do it?
So is this part the mixer?
That is the mixer. Well, it turns.
It controls this.
It does and controls the blades, the sharp parts.
I have one more pea.
Yep.
Pee.
But don't put your fingers where the blades are. That would not be good. Okay. There you go. So whole tomatoes smush down more than diced tomatoes, so I should have bought diced tomatoes. I didn't.
Easy.
So, I think we'll use 2.
Let me eat all the peas.
Then I usually just divide it all up and freeze it. But we're only going to freeze half of it today because we're going to do it all the way to the stage where she can have it in her feed. So half of it will freeze. And so I just use Ziploc containers and I put in 4 cups, 4.5 cups is what it ends up being. I just kind of guesstimate and put it in there. What do we do to the top of it, Lydia? What do we do to the top of our freezer thing? Do you remember? What do we put on this?
Tape.
Why? Do you know why? I've never asked you if you know why. So I always just use painter's tape and I write the date, like the month. So it's March, so 3, and the year. And then I remember what I put in it. Peas and tomatoes. Because I always do the peanut butter and oil. So this way I know what's in it so I can rotate them so she gets different stuff. And then I throw it in the freezer. So there's that one. This one we won't freeze. We'll come over here and we'll make it into feeds. So usually I'll take a frozen one out of the freezer and thaw it in the microwave. If I'll leave it like for 24 hours in the fridge, but sometimes I'll just throw it in the microwave and thaw it and then dump it. Thank you. So we'll get as much out as we can. When I first started doing this, I was super freaked out about it. Annette gave me all the paperwork, and I think I looked at the paperwork for like 2 months, but I didn't really look at the paperwork because I was afraid to do it. And then we talked about it some more, and I was still afraid to do it, but I tried it, and it took forever. The first 2 times I think I did it, it took a long time. I was buying vegetables and cooking them down and making them tender and then throwing them in the blender, and it was taking so long, and I was getting kind of discouraged. And then I finally decided, you know what? I can use these canned ones, all these canned vegetables and fruits, and it'll be faster, and I'm getting more used to it, so I know how much to use. And like, we don't have to put carbs in because Lydia eats her carbs pretty well. She's good with pastas and breads. So I learned from Annette I didn't have to use those, and so that was huge. And now we just kind of do it. And learning that I can throw things in the freezer, I don't have to every 3 days do this process, is huge. Just to know that it's okay. You find your own way to do it. So when I go to make it into her actual feeds, then I pulled it out of the freezer and thawed it, and I throw it in here. And then I take usually 4 containers of whatever we have around, the Boost or the Compact or the Pediasure, and we mix it in to thin it out. And at this point, this is when the very first time I made them, then my 10-year-old was like, oh, that looks amazing. What are you giving Lydia? And I said, oh, it's wonderful. It has peanut butter and chocolate. And then we talked about how it also has oil and broccoli and I don't know what all we had in it. Something disgusting. She was not impressed. So, and we did try it. Lydia and I tried it the first time we made it just to see what it tasted like, and we've never tried it again. So
there we go.
So I just mix it up so it's a little thinner. Make sure I have everything off the edges. And then we have to strain it through because it has, like we use tomatoes, so it has tomato seeds and stuff that we don't want getting stuck in our tube. So I always just put them in the fridge in these little canning jars. And I have these lids that I love, and they just spin right on. So those are what I use when I do it. They're easy. So I look like I'm cool and I know how to can, but I don't really know how to can. So I just pour it through the strainer. And this, I always make a big mess when I do this, but I pour it through here. And if it's thin enough, for the first while I'll just pour right through, but lots of times I have to move the stuff off the bottom of it so that it'll move a little faster. So I'll use a spoon or the whisk to do that. And I fill it all up. And I always have a plate or bowl next to me so I can scrape out all the gunk gunk. All the food pieces that are too large to go through the strainer. It's not really gunk. It just smells like it. So all the thick stuff, then I just dump it out. And then I move this to my next one. And fill up my next ones. And those go in the fridge, and those are what I use for her feed. Just give it time. Like, really, I think I started to feel comfortable with it after 3 months. It took me, and it's not like it was bad all the time. It was just when I'd sit down to do it and it would take 3 hours, I'd think, no way, I can't ever do this again. This is awful. And it wasn't 3 hours for one batch. I was doing like, oh, well, I'll just do it all at once. And so I would make like a month and a half worth of things for the freezer, but it took the whole evening and I was so dead by the time I was done. Do it in pieces. Like, I'll do one batch, but I'll do like 2 sets of peas and everything, and then throw it all in the freezer. And then the next time I need feeds, then I'll do another kind and throw that in the freezer. And so I just end up with a bunch in the freezer, and I don't have to worry about it so much. And I do it in sections. And in the beginning, then I was like, oh, I just did peas and tomatoes, so I'll now wash out the blender and then do my next set right afterwards. I realized, why am I washing out the blender? It's all the same stuff. So like, I would take this blender if I were to do more right now, and I'd go over there and I would use pears and pumpkin, and I would do a different kind because it's such a minimal amount. Nothing got dirty, so it's totally okay to just do that. So I have a lot of those 4-cup Ziploc containers that I use them. I do a lot of freezer meals too, so I have a freezer full of lots of different things. But, that'd be my advice. Give it time. And it's okay. Make it as easy as you can. Find things that are thinner and get advice on how to make them.